The silence in our house used to be peaceful. Now it just felt heavy. My wife Sarah had been acting distant for months. The business trips she kept insisting I take were becoming more and more frequent. She'd say things like, "It's a huge opportunity for your career, Mark," or "We need the extra money for the baby." And I believed her. Why wouldn't I? We were building a life together, and our son Leo was our whole world. But something was off. The loving calls became short, almost transactional. I miss yous felt forced. I started to notice small things, like a new perfume scent lingering in our bedroom after I'd been away, or her phone being constantly face down on the table. When I asked, she'd laugh it off, calling me paranoid. "You're just tired from all the travel, honey," she'd say. And she'd be so convincing, I'd almost believe her. Almost. The final straw was the last trip she practically pushed me into. It was for a conference I could have easily skipped. "Please, Mark," she pleaded. "It'll be good for us." Something in her eyes that day made my stomach churn. That's when I decided I needed to know the truth. Before I left for the airport, I bought a small, discreet nanny cam and hid it in a teddy bear on Leo's dresser, positioning it to cover most of the living room and hallway. My hands were shaking as I set it up. Felt like a spy in my own home, a terrible husband for doubting my wife. But I had to know. I spent the first 2 days of the trip glued to my phone, compulsively checking the live feed. It was all normal. Sarah playing with Leo, putting him to bed, watching TV. I started to feel a wave of guilt. Maybe I was just being crazy. Maybe the stress was getting to me. I was about to turn it off for the night when I saw it. The front door opened, and it wasn't a family member or a friend. It was a man I didn't recognize. My heart stopped. Walked in like he owned the place. Sarah greeted him with a kiss. A long, passionate kiss that made my blood run cold. They laughed, poured wine, and sat on the couch, our couch. He put his arm around her, and she leaned into him, looking happier and more relaxed than I had seen her in months. They were talking, but I couldn't hear the words. I didn't need to. Their body language screamed a story of intimacy and betrayal. I watched paralyzed as Sarah checked on Leo, then came back and led the man into our bedroom, closing the door behind them. The room went dark on the feed, but the image was burned into my mind. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Everything we had built, every promise we had made, it was all a lie. The business trips weren't for my career. They were for her affair. She wasn't building our future. She was tearing it down while I was away, working to provide for it. The next morning, I flew home. I didn't call. I didn't text. I just walked through the front door. The look of pure shock on Sarah's face was something I'll never forget. She started to stammer, asking why I was back so early. I didn't say a word. I just walked over to Leo's room, picked up the teddy bear, and placed it on the coffee table in front of her. I pulled out my phone and played back the clip from the night before. Her face went from shock to horror, then to a cascade of tears. The excuses started pouring out, a desperate waterfall of lies and justifications. But I wasn't listening anymore. The man on the screen wasn't just a stranger. He was a ghost who had been haunting my marriage, and now I could finally see him. The trust was shattered, and there was no going back. It was the hardest decision of my life, but I knew I had to leave for my own sake, and for Leo's. It's a long road ahead, but a life built on truth, even a painful one, is better than living a beautiful lie. Thanks for listening to my story.